Do a child's pose to start. So if you are sitting on your heels, then of course, just walk yourself down into your child's pose. And we can have the knees wide or narrow. And I like to kind of toggle between the two of them depending on how you feel on the day. And let's take a moment just to breathe here. I like to spend a little time before any kind of movement practice, kind of resetting the spine in something like a child's pose shape, something like this, where we have opening in the shoulders, we have opening in the hips and the low back, and you can really allow your weight to rest on the ground as you breathe very deeply, expanding your lungs with your inhales, and compressing them with your exhales. Okay, and we'll take a few minutes here just to be here. So really settle in and close your eyes down and let your face kind of melt and smoosh to the floor maybe. Let the jaw fall off. With each breath, we'll see if we can just melt the shoulders and the hips a little bit lower. I love child's pose because it basically resets everything that we get kind of tense in, and we can use it as an instant reset button. Okay, and certainly should notice the difference in your spine. We'll take a few more breaths here just to be here, focusing on the length of the inhale and the depth of the exhale. All the air gets cleaned out. All right, so I'm gonna stay pretty grounded here. I just want to open up the spine a little bit from side to side. So if you walk your hands over to the right, stay nice and low. You can take them off the mat, even if you've got a little mat. Just take them real far until you have a lovely stretch across your left side. And then you want to drop your head. And you want to start to move your hips away from your hands. So expanding into the left side. Nice breathing here. Puffing into the ribs and the low back while always maintaining the long neck. So just keep reminding yourself, like I always have to remind myself, pull the shoulders away from the ears so we don't get a turtleneck, more of a giraffe neck. And then we will switch sides, walking your hands through center. You can take them to the left and build a really nice little stretch into the right side. Active stretch as we push the floor with the hands and move the hips away. Nice breathing. Okay, feels nice in the ribs and the low back. Come through center here, and then we will decompress up into a hands and knees. So if you grab your hands on the mat, pull yourself up to hands and knees. We can establish ourselves up here and start to warm up the joints quite a bit. But before we do that, let's talk about your grip on the mat. We want a really strong grip with all the fingers spread really wide. Do grab the mat like you really mean it. And I like to put some good weight into the fingertips so that your knuckles are pointing at the ceiling. And you'll notice when you do that, that it really takes the weight out of your wrists, which is very helpful for us humans. We're really prone to kind of tender wrists because they're very delicate. So do grip into your fingertips, and then we'll take some spinal extension and flexion. So strong heart as you pull your spine into a little arch or extended shape. I want you to really think of pulling with your hands. Your elbows are going to point back, and your heart is going to move forward. And you might wag your tail at the ceiling and maybe even look forward with your nose, We're going to push the floor away here and round your spine. Keep breathing into your cat shape. Push the floor here. You can hang your head. Feels good in the neck. Let's take those a few more times. Inhale through your cow shape. In big extended spine. Exhale for your cat shape. Flexed spine. So take a few more like this. This is really useful and important moment for your spine as you balance the front to back strength. Okay, really opening where we feel tense, strengthening where we need it the most. Okay, maybe even make this next one that you do a little bit snaky and kind of roll sideways through it, stretching out some extra spots in the side of the spine and the side of the ribs. Bring it back to a flat back here. Okay, back on your hands and knees, shaped in a stable flat back shape. If you tuck your toes here and hover your knees just off the mat, you'll get a little warm up into your core, a little bit of ab and core activation. Okay, now I'm going to play around with this shape. Go ahead and lift your hips and your knees up to a downward facing dog. It doesn't have to be a very deep and exciting and dramatic downward facing dog, but we'll come back down to the floating knee shape right now. So hover those knees back off the floor. Just a little hovering knee. Now back to the downward facing dog. Keep breathing. We're going to do it a couple more times, okay? Knee hover. You should feel yourself kind of warming up and downward facing dog. One more. Here we go. Knee hover. And downward facing dog. Great. Now let's take a walk. Take your hands to walk all the way back to your feet. Let's do a little hang time here. This would be a nice time to stretch out your wrists and flip your hands over. As you really bend your knees, you can press the top of the hand out. Massage the wrist on the floor. Okay, maybe even make a nice fist as you do that to stretch out the hands. Okay, wrist care is really important before we put weight on them, just so we don't get too tight. Okay, here we go. We're going to roll up. So get those feet underneath you, and as you push down into the floor, roll yourself up. Using the strength of your whole back body, think of unfurling yourself up and open. As you reach up, take a look at your hands. See if you can point your nose between your thumbs and let that front side expand. We're coming back down to a fold here, so if you bend your knees, here we go, all the way back down. Once your fingers touch the floor, walk yourself forward through that hands and knee shape or that little floating knee. And then again, press it back, downward facing dog. Let's do it again. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing dog. Should be getting more. One more. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, now this time, I want you to take a walk to the top of your mat. Go ahead and bend your knees generously. Take a little walk to the top of the mat and fold. And then again, if you want to bend your knees and stretch your wrists out here, make sure you get the front and the back of the wrist and all the different palm down, palm up variations as we warm up, right? Okay, we're going to do the same thing we did at the back of the mat. With your inhale, roll yourself up. Think of the back body doing all the work, opening up the front body. Look up between your thumbs. Exhale, fold it down, just like we did before. You can bend the knees, touch the floor. Okay, so that's going to be our little mini warm-up flow. Let's do it again. Inhale through your hands and knee, floating knee shape. So float those knees, and if you need to touch them down, you can, of course, do that. Exhale back to your downward facing dog. Let's do it again. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing. Great, one more. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hands walk back to feet and fold. Now we'll start moving maybe a little faster. Inhaling to roll it up. Not too fast, not too crazy, just a little bit more heat. Exhale, roll it down. Bend the knees a lot. Inhale forward through your floating knee. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing. Use the weight in the fingertips here. One more, floating knee. Downward facing. Good. Take a walk, top of the mat and fold. Inhale all the way up. Here we go. Lift a heart. Exhale, fold it. Inhale, floating knee. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, we're going to do one more round here, and then after this, one more round, and then we'll move on to other things. Downward facing dog, floating knee, downward facing dog. Walk the hands to the back of the mat. Last time. Inhale, rolling up. Each time it should feel a little more open, a little more fluid. Maybe. Maybe not. That's fine too. Exhale all the way down. Inhale to your floating knee. Just one time. Exhale to your downward facing dog. Hold here with me. And take a moment. Now if downward facing dog is a comfortable place for you to kind of hang out, then hang out here and breathe. If it's not super comfortable, try bending your knees a lot. And then maybe even try dropping to your knees. It can also be a hands and knee position. So I just want to give you options. And of course you're an expert yogi, so you already know that you're going to modify any positions or suggestions I make that aren't fun or hurt in any way. Of course, never causing pain and only having a good time, and really modify. I really want to encourage you to make up your own variations if I don't suggest the right one. But from your downward facing dog shape, as you're ready, take a look at your hands. We're going to take the right foot, step forward by the right hand. Go ahead and drop the back knee. Find a low lunge shape, And you can come up on your fingertips if you like. All right, and we'll take a little time here. Finding just a little stretch in the legs, right? We gently warmed them. Not super warm though. So start to activate your two legs. We want the front knee over the ankle, and that's really useful. It creates like a vertical column. So do establish that and push down into your strong vertical column. And then the back leg, we're also using that one. So do push down into the back knee as well. Once you've activated your lunge, on your little fingertip tense under your shoulders, go ahead and rock the hips back. Keep actively pushing the floor with the front and the back leg. And if you can, put a flexion in the front ankle. You can always extend the knee a little or just bend it a lot. Now we're going to rock back forward to the lunge. Let's do it a few times, staying active the whole time. Rock back, keep actively pushing the floor just a little, and rock forward. Let's take it a few times. Starting to feel maybe a little bit more fluidity in the joints. But again, if not, that's also fine. We try not to have expectations in our movement practice. We just kind of meet ourselves where we are. Okay, so remember you can keep the front knee bendy as much as you need to. Now rock forward and just hang out in the lunge here with me. We're going to get the hands up in the air. If we can use the left knee to press up. Sorry, that's the right knee. Right knee pressing up, and then hands up. Maybe you can grab onto your sparkle gun and shoot sparkles up in the air. And of course, adjust the back knee to be comfortable in any way that you need to. So here in your low lunge, take a little time. If it's ever too intense, you can always lift your hips up and back and shorten your stance. Or you can lengthen your stance and drop your hips. But no matter what, I want you to have a strong belly muscles. Your belly muscles are compressing inward towards your spine to keep your low back safe so it doesn't overextend. We're not dumping into the low back. Great, take one more breath here. Maybe look up at your sparkle gun. Building a little bit of heat in your lunge. Amazing. As you're ready, drop those hands under your shoulders. Okay, we'll swing it back through a 3-leg dog. So tuck the left toe, lift the left knee. Let's swing the right leg up and back. Okay, it's like the top foot wants to get away from the bottom foot. We're not super warm in the legs, so it doesn't have to be a big stretch. But while you're here, go ahead and let the bottom heel, that's the left heel, drop nice and low. So you get that hamstring stretch. And then all of the feet down. We are back in downward facing dog. Welcome back. Walk it out. See how it feels maybe a little different than before. Who knows? And let's flow a little bit before we go into the other side, just to cleanse the palate. So as you're ready with your inhale, flow forward into a little plank shape. Now remember, your plank shape can have your knees down, okay, or up. It's still a plank, as long as your shoulders are over your wrists and you're pressing into your fingers and your toes, okay? Just moving through though, from your plank shape, take a walk to your hands and fold top of the mat, forward fold. Let's roll all the way up again. This time I want to add in a chair squat. Okay, so as you reach up to the top of your height, tuck the tailbone, point it down at the earth as you bend your knees, but keep your heart big and grand, okay? Don't crunch it with your shoulders by your ears. Stand back tall in your mountain pose, extended knees, and let's fold it again all the way down. Okay, palms are down here. Step it back to your same plank shape you just left, with or without your knees. And then with or without those knees, squeeze your elbows in towards your ribs and come down in slow motion. See if you can go really slowly to the floor. Okay, keeping your little vinyasa nice and strong, elbows squeezing in. Pull your heart forward in your cobra shape with your inhale and really flip and push your flippers into the floor. With your exhale, press yourself either up through your hands and knee shape or through your plank, and I'll meet you in a downward facing dog. Let's take a moment just to decompress. You can catch your breath if you feel a little pumped by slowing your breath down intentionally. If you need a little child's pose break here, it's a great time to just pop down into that child's pose and take a load off. But if downward facing dog is all right, keep pushing the floor away from you all the time with your hands and your feet. Your tailbone wants to go up and your heart wants to go back. And I like to move the shoulders away from the ears here and kind of squeeze the elbows inward toward each other. Okay, we're going into the second side. Here we go. Take a look at your hands. We're going to step the left foot by the left hand. Drop the back knee. Coming into a nice little low lunge shape. So again, lunges are super adjustable. So I want you to fidget it until it feels great. Okay, and then we're gonna really activate the legs. Pushing into the front knee. Make sure that the knee is over the ankle and it's not in front of the ankle and overly compressing the joint. So push into the leg and really fire it up. Feel the left leg wake up. You're gonna feel the hamstring and the hip, right? And now push into the back leg. That's the right knee in this case. Now keep them active. It doesn't have to be all your strength, right? Just enough, maybe like 5 to 10% of your strength. And rock back to that little stretch of your left hamstring. Again, you can keep the knee bendy. See, my front knee is super bendy, or you can extend it. It's up to you. But do put some good flexion in your ankle, and that's mostly to keep your knee safe. And it's a great stretch for your quad. Okay, now we're gonna rock back and forth between these two nice shapes, the lunge shape and the hamstring stretch, the half split. Take your time, go back and forth several times. Just kind of exploring and warming the range of motion without having like high expectations about a big old stretch. It's more of a warmth. Sometimes I get excited. I want to do the big stretch right away. We can't always do it that way. Okay, come forward into your lunge shape. It should feel nice and fluid now. Establish it so it's comfortable for the back knee, and then press yourself upright. Okay, here we are. Zip up your spine nice and long. If you notice your tailbone pointing back, that's all right. Just tuck it, point it down. Let's get those arms up. Okay, breathing deeply. Keep pushing the floor with all 2 of your legs. You can grab your sparkle gun, shoot sparkles. But remember, the turtleneck is really easy like this. Do a giraffe neck instead. Always trying to pull your neck up out of your shoulders. Just breathing here. Maybe close your eyes. Just feel gravity. Notice the moment passing as you breathe deeply. Notice how your body's working for stability and strength. Great, one more breath here. Maybe take a look at your sparkle gun. When you're coming out, go ahead and land your fingers and your palms underneath your shoulders. We'll need the support from the upper body, so spread the fingers wide. We're coming out through a 3-leg dog. If you tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. Here comes the left leg, up and back. Send it up there. It wants to get away from the bottom foot. Hold it here. Just taking a little enjoyable stretch moment. Let that bottom heel, that's the right heel, drop to the floor as the top heel goes up. Playing a little game where they try to get away from each other. Maybe one more breath in your big stretch. And then set it down, downward facing dog. Okay. We're gonna flow a little bit again before we go back into those shapes, but we'll be back into our lunge. For now, with your inhale, roll your heart forward to a plank. Just moving through. With your exhale, take a walk top of the mat, forward fold. All the way up on your inhale, here we go. Rolling up and open, more fluid each time. Down into your chair squat on your exhale, drop the tailbone, lifting the heart. And then inhale to stand tall again in your mountain pose. Exhale, fold it back down. Palms are down here. Inhale back through your plank shape. Hands and knees welcome as well. Either way, squeeze your elbows in as you lower yourself to the floor slowly. Keep squeezing those elbows in as you inhale to pull your heart forward. It doesn't have to be a lot to be really effective. Okay, with your exhale, we'll meet back in a downward facing dog. So maybe through hands and knees, maybe through a plank shape. Yogi's choice. I'll meet you there, downward facing, and shake it off right here for a breath or 2. Maybe again, a child's pose break is also a nice break to take if you need it here. Open invitation. But we're gonna take 3 long, slow breaths right here. Close your eyes maybe, just notice how you feel. Notice all 3 layers. Notice your physical self, what's going on. Notice how your mental self is seeming, and just notice, observe without getting caught up, right? And then notice also the emotional self. Notice all the layers. Just for a moment, just checking in. About halfway through our practice. It's always good to check in. We're going to go back into that flow. Okay, it should be familiar, and then we'll embroider on it a little bit. So here we go. Go ahead and check out your hands. We're going to step the right foot forward by the right hand and find a low lunge. With your inhale here, let's come all the way up and open to that same low lunge we just left. With your exhale, drop those fingers around your front foot, okay, on either side. And if they don't reach, it's okay to take them inside the foot, okay? Just a suggestion, drop them around the front foot. We're gonna pull the hips back and stay here this time. Okay, it's gonna feel great stretch on your legs. So options, you have a lot of options here. Some folks like to keep their finger tense, right, a little tent under your shoulder. Some folks like to have blocks here. That's nice too. So you can do blocks. And some folks like to keep the stance really short. Some folks like to lengthen the stance. So I want to give you options to make it just like you like it. And when you're really happy with your shape, feel free to put a lot of bend in the front knee. I want you to really flex the ankle and kick the heel down. So you're getting a fantastic stretch along the back of the leg. Now lengthen that spine, really zip it up so you're looking forward to be as long as you can. We're going to breathe right here. This is a great shape for opening up the back of that leg. So keep zipping that spine nice and long and start to think of pulling back on the right hip. Like the right hip wants to go back and the left hip would like to go forward. And hold with that feeling. And then you can also start to windshield wiper the right toe over to the right a little bit. And you'll start to get into the outside of the leg, the IT band and the glute, and you'll feel it right away. And then if that feels nice and you're like, okay, I'm ready to kind of lean into that IT band and glute stretch, go ahead and windshield wiper the right toe all the way to the right, but keep the flexion in the ankle. Keep the blade edge of the foot down, and then you can even walk your hands over to the right and keep resisting the floor, kind of pushing it away with your leg. Nice stretch available if it feels right. So let's breathe here. Just give it a little time to ripen and set in. Okay, taking your final breath here, really press down on that outer edge of the right foot. Really lengthen the spine. Let's come back through that hamstring stretch. Both hands around the front foot. Go ahead and drop back into your lunge. Frame out your front foot with your hand. Let's tuck up the back knee and see if we can send it out through a 3-leg dog. Send our right leg high, up in the sky. Now let's add a scorpion here because we can. Bend the right knee, point the toe to the left, and hold. Can you drop the left knee here? Absolutely. And make it a little more gentle. Up to you. Either way, hold your scorpion tail high. I want you to think of dropping the right shoulder as you lift the right knee. So the shoulders stay level, the knee goes up. And drop that bottom heel, that's the left heel, so you get a great hamstring stretch here too. As you're ready, set down your scorpion tail, downward facing dog. Okay, let's flow. We're gonna come back to the other side. First we'll flow. If you need a rest, you can take a rest and we can meet back here in downward facing dog. It's up to you. If you're coming along, inhale for your plank shape. Exhale to your hands. Maybe if you're getting kind of warm, you might add a little hop to get to your hands, but you can also take a walk and fold. Let's come halfway up this time, unrolling your spine, look forward, and really push down into your legs while you do that. You can even bend your knees and put your hands on them. Your choice. Exhale to fold. Let's come all the way up this time, rolling yourself, peeling your heart open to the ceiling, bigger than before. Let's add in our chair squat on the exhale. Tailbone down, looking up. Inhale, stand tall. And exhale, fold it back down. Let's do the halfway up again. Big breath in, halfway. And fold on your exhale. Palms are down. Inhale back to your plank. If you're warm, you can add in a hop or take a walk. Your vinyasa goes here. Exhaling to the floor or hover. Inhaling to your cobra shape or your downward face or your upward facing dog shape with the tops of the feet pressing down and the heart pressing forward. Either way, meet up in downward facing dog. All the way up and back. Here we go. Take a few breaths and shake it all off. We're going to go into the second side after a little moment of decompression. Okay. Second side. Inhaling here. Check out your hands. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Find the low lunge and come up for just a moment into it. It doesn't need to be deep, but just for a moment, find the shape. And then drop those fingers around the front foot. We're gonna pull back into the hamstring stretch. And here we are. Put a good flexion in the ankle, okay? That's something, it's not really like a style cue so much as a safety cue, because it keeps the knee really safe. So do flex the front ankle, do bend the knee as much as you like, and do a good kick down and pull back action in the leg. It's like the leg wants to just kick down and the hip wants to go back. So you'll start to feel the left leg really responding right away, and zip that spine to be nice and long here. Even though it's challenging and it kind of tempting to be a macaroni spine, but be long spaghetti spine here. Now, if we like this shape, we can play around with that IT band stretch, waggling the toes over to the left and back. Playing around with kind of heating up that outer hip. And then if all seems well, we can waggle over to the left. Now keep your blade, knife edge, really strong flexion, and drop that knife edge. Go ahead and walk to the left with your hands. Now keep zipping up and lengthening your spine. I know it's challenging, but do your best. Let's take some nice breathing as we push the floor with that leg. All the way up the outer left leg here. Great. Okay, great stretch. Take one more breath here. Really pulling that hip back. Let's come back through. Okay, we'll come back through the lunge shape. Bend that front knee. This time frame out the front foot with your hands. And we'll come out through a three-leg dog shape again. So pop up the back knee. Swing the left leg up and over into the sky. Three-leg dog shape. Okay, we can add a scorpion shape if we want to. Bending the knee, opening up the hip. So think of the knee going up as the left shoulder goes down. We need level shoulders for this to be super effective. And then speaking of super effective, let that right heel really smoosh down to the floor. That's the bottom heel. Hamstring and calf stretch. Okay, as you're ready, drop your scorpion tail, downward facing dog. Let's flow one more time, and then I promise we will take the vibe closer to the floor and get more stretchy and slow. Here we go. Feel free to take that child's pose break, same invitation. Either way, we're gonna meet up in a downward facing dog. I'll see you there. If you're coming along, inhale for your plank. Exhale to your hands. Maybe you got your hops in. And fold. Halfway up on your inhale, just like before, same as before. And fold on your exhale. Inhale to roll yourself up, expand your heart up and open. Exhale into your chair, squat, dropping the tailbone, keeping the heart big. Inhale to stand. Exhale to fold. Halfway up on your inhale again. And fold on your exhale. Okay, palms are down here. Inhale back into your plank. You can add your hops if you like. We're going to do your favorite way. You can exhale down or hover. You can inhale to cobra or upward facing. Either way, I'll meet you in downward facing dog. Take a moment here. This will be our last time here. So I just want you to feel the difference between this one and the first one we did about maybe half an hour ago, maybe more. Hopefully feel a little more open in the backs of the legs, more open in the shoulders and the heart. All right, go ahead. ahead and take a walk to your hands. Give yourself a great hug. You might even, because we're quite warm, you might even want to grab your elbows behind your legs and slide them down. It's up to you. But I really want to encourage you to get your heart close to your knees. Even if that means hugging behind your knees and putting your heart there, and let your head really hang like an apple from a tree. No tension in the neck. Okay, from here, you can ground your palms, bend your knees, and lower yourself to a seat. Okay, welcome to the floor. We have really warmed your upper body. We've really warmed your lower body. And now it's a great time to stretch and cool things down a little bit. So let's go ahead and bend the right knee. We're going to bring it right foot steps close to your hips, and you can squeeze and hug that right leg with your arms as you sit up nice and tall. And first, we're just grounding here. So start to push into both of your legs. It's easy to kind of sit here sometimes, but when we remind ourselves to push the floor with the legs, we activate that stretch. And we're looking for just a gentle hip stretch in this right hip, but we also get a bonus stretch in the back of the left leg and all the way up your spine. As you feel like you've settled into this a little bit, use the left arm only to hold the right leg as you twist to look behind you. Now hold and breathe here. I don't want you to lean on your hand, but I just want you to get taller because of your hand back there. You could even move it if you wanted to, but it does help to get a little taller. Nice breathing. I'll give you a little more time just to be here. So maybe close your eyes. Maybe we take the elbow on the outside of the knee, the left elbow outside the right knee, but if we do that, we have to get even taller and breathe even deeper. How about one last very luxurious breath here, very long and drawn out. Expanding the ribs and then contracting them. Okay, let's come back through center. Go ahead and knock your right knee down. Then you can tuck the foot in as close as is comfortable, okay? And then same thing here. Before we do anything, let's just ground in this shape, okay? Rather than just kind of sitting, let's really, really intentionally push the floor away with all two of the legs. So push down into the bent leg and push down into the extended leg. Now, if you encounter some uncomfortable tension on the back of the left leg, you have an instant way out. You can bend the left knee, and then it becomes less of a leg stretch and more in your back. So keep that in your toolbox. From here, once we've grounded and seated ourselves, we're going to lengthen the spine and really flex the left ankle as if the toe intended to come to your nose at some point, and then start to move your nose toward the toe. Nice breathing here. We don't have to go very far to find a lovely stretch in the back body. So just pause when you encounter the stretch and don't feel like you have to push. Just stay there. We have time. We're just going to breathe. Okay, keep gently pushing the floor away from you with your legs, and notice how that really informs and activates your stretch, makes it more effective and, in my opinion, more fun. Naturally, over time, your fold might melt and soften, but it's also okay to stay largely upright, as long as you're getting the stretch in your back and in your legs. Okay, take a few more breaths here. I want to give you time. If you notice your spine rounding like a macaroni, really draw the heart forward and zip the spine into a long shape as much as you can. Take 3 more very long breaths here, and for these 3, make your exhales twice as long as your inhales. As you're ready, slowly, there's no rush, extract yourself by walking your hands up towards your hips. There's no rush at all. But if you take your right hand behind you again, kind of where you had it when we were twisting, you can lean over to the right on your right knee, and then go ahead and slide your right knee underneath your right hip. And it's okay if you don't magically end up in a pose that looks just like what I'm doing. Just fidget until you have 2 vertical columns. Your arm under your right shoulder and your femur or your thigh bone under your right hip. And then press down the outer edge of the left foot over there. Everything is in line. You feel strong and structural. Go ahead and reach the left hand away from the left foot. And think of reaching the left side to be extremely long. You might even begin to cultivate a little bit of a rainbow shape as the left hand tries to touch the floor. It might, it doesn't have to, but it's a great stretch. Take a few more breaths here. Okay, no rush. We're just gonna roll and kind of spiral back down to the seat we just left. So spiral back down to a seat. We'll switch. So you can extend the right leg and bend the left knee now. Step it close to you and just give it a hug. And then focus on just pushing the floor and sitting up tall at first before we really try to go anywhere with it. Okay, once you've got your active push down to the floor, then add the mobility. You can twist holding the knee with the right arm, or if you like to deepen it, you can use the elbow. It is up to you, but I want you to breathe really deeply and get really tall all the time. Twists are amazing for recalibrating the spine and just kind of setting everything back into place after we move it. One last lovely breath here, really opening up your heart toward the back of your space. Unspiral yourself. Go ahead and knock that left knee to the floor. Just knock it down. Okay? You can tug the foot tucked as close to you as you like as you start to just sit up extra tall, starting to cultivate that push down, that grounding. Okay, if you have a big hamstring stretch here, it's not fun, it's too much, just bend the knee so it's not so intense. But if you like the stretch, by all means, do extend the knee and kick down into the floor. Okay, here we go. We want our longest spine before we start to fold. Now let's imagine a string between the big toe of your right foot and the center of your heart. Go ahead and increase the distance between the toe and the heart, slowly. And remember to breathe. It's easy to forget to breathe when you're working and talking, isn't it? Okay, so remember you can stay in the shallow end of this posture, and there's much to be learned, so much growth to do in the gentle end of these postures. But if you want to grow toward the deeper end of the stretch, then please do. I'll give you more time here, so close your eyes and breathe. Sometimes we move, sometimes we stretch. Give ourselves time. Okay, taking one last extremely long, dramatically luxurious breath, where the exhale is twice as long as the inhale, maybe even longer. When you're ready, walk your hands back up by your hips. Okay, take the left hand behind you, kind of where it was when we were twisting. I'd recommend putting the palm all the way down if you could. Rock some weight into that left knee and go ahead and slide it underneath you. So in the end, the hand, the knee, and the right foot all line up. So 2 vertical columns, left arm, left knee. Okay, Stretch the right hand away from the right foot. Make a big right side stretch. Maybe it's more of a straight line. Maybe it's more of a rainbow. It doesn't matter as long as it feels good. Take a nice deep breathing here. Great. Should feel really nice and open. Okay, spiral yourself back down to the seat we just left. Extend all your legs now. Amazing work. All of our hard work is now done, and it's time to rest. If you use your arms forward in front of you like counterweights, purposely make a macaroni shape of your spine. Point your tailbone at your toes, and start to roll yourself down. When you land, it's time to rest. You can relax your body, relax your breath. Take a little time just to exist without doing or producing anything. You can let your palms flop upward and your feet flop out. Let your jaw fall off of your face. And your eyebrows melt down to your ears. Nice thoughts might come and go. And try to watch the thoughts like clouds, just observing. If you notice any physical sensations, really tune into those. Observe how they unfold. If you observe emotions, just watch. Let yourself melt more and more with each moment. Please feel free to stay and rest like this for as long as you can, even taking a nap if you need to. Okay, if you have the time, I recommend it. But this is where I'll leave you for our practice today. Thank you so much for practicing with me.